Did you ask Ronald Fleming Sr. if he lived there? Did you ask Ms. Curry if she lived there? Did you ask Mr. Fleming Sr. for identification to check his address? Did you ask Ms. Curry for identification to check her address? Ms. Curry provided you with the key. Did you ask Ms. Curry if she had authority to enter that location? Did you ask Ms. Curry if she had the authority to give you permission to enter that location? You took a screwdriver and you forced entry into one of the screen doors. So you force entry to access the door that you can use the key. At some point you enter that location. You don't have a search warrant. You don't have permission from anybody you know to live there to enter that location. The purpose of you entering that location was to check to see on the well-being of, as a Washington County Sheriff, is there a policy on welfare check? Or are you familiar with that policy?
Yes, I have read it a while.
Okay. The purpose of a welfare check, would you agree with me, is to see, one, if the individual is there, and two, if they need medical assistance.
Good morning, Madam Joy Gaines, Senior Assistant Public Defender. We too agree that that seems like it might be a sign. We too would waive any conflict, although we do not think that there is a conflict.
The court, for its part, does not believe that a conflict exists either under Michigan court rules or the case cited thereunder. To the extent a conflict does exist, given the way which the court will consent to hear the matter. So, the court does call the case People State of Michigan versus Derek Williams.
And send on behalf of the people, Your Honor.
Joy Gaines, Senior Assistant Public Defender, with and on behalf of Mr. Williams.
Your name?
Derek Williams.
And your today's the date time subject to preliminary examination. At this time, people are unable to proceed as to count one. I would ask for count two to be remanded down to district.
Your Honor, we would move to dismiss count one.
I'll continue the defendant's not guilty plea to count two. Pretrial in this matter set for
April 20th at 1 p.m.
April 20th, 2026, 1 p.m. That's before me. I didn't throw that in. Cool. Fine, we'll continue.
Your Honor.
German, Spanish interpreter. Mr. Chilowski is not here. Just I'll take that.
Why are we?
Burdell walked out too, so
Jablowski and Burdell.
yeah, they were.
Why were we adjourning?
Right.
You get that part? No.
No, I have so that you can review. I don't have the signed documents yet. He still needs to have her sign. He's planning on having her sign when she comes out.
Is that Feltes?
It is.
Wow. Feltes. Long lost.
Morning, Your Honor.
I almost didn't recognize you.
The lovely momentous day is.
It is.
I know. Your Honor, he's on the record.
March.
Yeah.
But all March babies are great. Just wonderful people.
So technically, the only thing ready is this, and it's a holding exam. That's Ms. Feltes and Mr. Johnson.
Okay, but that's going to take a minute, and I'm trying to.
Your poor witnesses, Your Honor.
Four. Okay.
I don't know if that says anyone, please.
No, but he's going to have a lot of questions because that's what it does. But there's a bunch of other things. What are we doing on those before everybody gets trapped behind that one?
I know that Mr. Kilowatts case, I think it's cheated, but he's talking.
He's what?
Talking with client.
You want me to go get him?
You remember?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it's in substantial wall. See what this response. No, it's true.
No objections, Your Honor.
Count one is dismissed. I'll continue to defendant's not guilty plea to count two. Pretrial in this matter will be set.
April 20th at 9 a.m.
that before Judge Washington?
Yes, before.
April 20th, 2026, 9 a.m. before Judge Washington.
Your Honor, may we address one thing? My client's wearing a tether, which originally I believe you ordered. Judge Washington, because of this case, confirmed that, but we're asking if you would consider removing the tether on her part.
Your Honor, I would object at this point. She is on probation out of 14B for a domestic violence charge, I believe, with the same victim. And I would think a tether in this case is a crime. Yeah.
I'm sorry? Well, it's still a DP, right? Okay. Your Honor, my client would agree to remain under house arrest. I just don't think a tether is necessary, Your Honor. We want to resolve these matters.
How would we know where she is? Yeah, that's what I thought. Motion denied. Bond will continue with it.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Court does call the case of the people versus Lakrita Thompson.
Morning, Your Honor. Alex Chekaloski for the people. Defender Bendel, if I may have Ms. Thompson, who is joining me at the podium. Ms. Thompson, would you please state your name for the record?
Lakrita Thompson.
Can you say it loud enough so the judge can hear?
Lakrita.
Court will dismiss as to counts 1 and 2. I'll continue to not guilty plea as to count 3. Pre-trial will be set
April 23rd at 10:30.
April 23rd, 2026, 10:30 before Judge Barr, or no, before Judge Freshour, excuse me.
And Your Honor, my client did want me to address the tether condition of his bond, if it's okay.
Yes, go.
Your Honor, he's been applying for jobs in several places. Obviously, the tether's been a hindrance to gaining employment at this time. The more serious charges have been dismissed. I don't believe he's had any bond violations in this case. He's always appeared on his own voluntarily and obviously posted bond to do that. Your Honor, I'm asking the court to consider removing the tether condition with obviously the no contact condition still to be in place.
Your Honor, at this point, I'm going to object. His previous history of dismissed domestic violence from 2025 and a deferred DV from 2020. This case involves him pistol whipping the victim in the car repeatedly. She had bruising with an abrasion on her left shoulder, 2 lacerations on her forehead, a large bump of bruise on her forehead, and likely a broken nose due to this case. So I'm going to be objecting.
You said there was a prior deferred. Anything else?
No, Your Honor.
Motion for bond reduction or modification is denied. Bond will all its conditions.
Right. I'll text him the new date. Okay. So with the next one. I feel it's fine.
Court calls case people versus Caitlin Davidson.
No, I don't think so.
Alex Chekaloski for the people, Your Honor.
Good morning, Your Honor. May it please the Honorable Court, David Burgess on behalf of Caitlin Davidson, who has not apprised herself of these proceedings today, Your Honor.
Caitlin Davidson. Bench warrant will issue for defendant's failure to appear. Bond will be set in the amount of $25,000. Cash surety. That warrant will issue immediately.
Thank you.
Court calls case people versus Tyler Aviera.
Alex Chekaloski for the people, Your Honor. And public defender Bendel, on behalf of Mr. Oliveira, who is standing to my right. Sir, would you please state your name for the record?
Tyler Thomas Oliveira.
Your Honor, we're unable to proceed. The necessary witness, Jennifer York, has not appeared. Defense would ask for a dismissal.
People being unable to proceed, this case is dismissed on defendant's motion. That's without prejudice. Thank you.
Thank you. This is it.
Yeah, I've lost defense.
You'll be home.
Yeah, see if we can find him. I'm ready. That's all I got now. Share.
It's driving me crazy.
Oh, right.
So everybody just left. Where'd they? Yep, okay. Dave? Well, I can't, I know, but I keep losing more people. I send him, okay, there's him. Where's Ian? Okay. You got a call.
Yes, sir.
I'm great. Thank you for asking. No. Fill my water? That is very good. No, it's great water. Did a wonderful job. I'm proud of you. No, that's perfect. I know. I see that. Then, yeah. Yeah. I need to quit messing with me. Court does call the case of the people of the state of Michigan versus Ronald Savoy Fleming.
Morning, Your Honor. Ashley Lonnie Feltus for the people.
Good morning, man. Please talk about Court Rick Johnson on behalf of Mr. Fleming. Approach and seat to my right.
In your name, sir? Thank you.
Your Honor, we are set this morning for a preliminary examination. It is my understanding after talking with Mr. Johnson that we are proceeding to a preliminary examination. People anticipate calling 4 witnesses, and I have a copy of the revised post-mortem examination report that I am admitting pursuant to statute with no objection from defense counsel, if I may approach with Exhibit 1.
Yes. Is that all correct, Mr. Johnson?
Yes, Your Honor.
Exhibit 1 is admitted.
And Your Honor, I have 4 witnesses: Ronald Fleming, who is not the defendant, born a different year; Detective Thomas Robb, Detective Aaron Soyring, and Detective Heather Morrison. Detective Morrison is remaining with me as my officer in charge.
That's fine. All right. You may call your first witness.
Did the court admit Exhibit 1? I apologize.
I did.
Thank you very much.
Hours ago.
I guess people would call.
You solemnly swear affirm the testimony you're about to give to be true, all truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. What I've seen. State spell your first and last name.
WLANG. Go ahead.
Good morning, sir. How do you know Ronald Savoy Fleming? He's your son. Do you see the person you know to be Ronald Savoy Fleming in the courtroom today? Could you tell me where he's sitting and what he's wearing, please?
Next to this person right here, he's looking at the ring. With a white underneath shirt.
Your Honor, may the record reflect that this witness has identified the defendant?
That objection, record shows so.
Did you know a person named Theodora Fleming? Who was that? Your mother was Theodora Fleming? Do you know what township your mother lived in 2024? Did you have occasion to go to her house on May 17th, 2024? Why did you go to her house on that date?
Phone call from my house. Notifying mother. You failed to check in, mother, sisters, they would text each other every morning. Google Live to see if they're still around.
Well, how old was your mother at that point in 2024?
73.
73.
She just turns.
And after you had heard from your aunts that they hadn't heard from your mother, what did you decide to do?
Initially, I was going to go out, come out, they I haven't informed me yet, my son was kind of unaware. I changed will be coming to morning.
And where do you live at? What city? And where is that?
My house, north of See if I can.
It's a little bit of a drive to come up to Ypsilanti Township.
But
Did you arrive at the house on May the 17th, 2024? How'd you get there? Where did you park when you got there?
that's the point.
What did you notice about the house when you drove up to it?
Put my one across, it popped out all the windows. The sheets on the windows were shed.
Why did that pop out to you?
I have to say last, I've never seen fully cut down all the sheets. Never seen.
Was that something your mother would routinely do?
I've never seen it. Oh,
Would always have them open? Did you notice anything else about the house?
initially, no. When I got out, knock on the doors, I noticed that both screen doors were locked from the inside, which is normal. But with the shades closed and then it's just something it's just way out of the board.
Did you notice any sounds coming from the house? Did you go up to the doors or windows and try to knock on them or see what was going on?
Front door, that's one shut on the screen. Went to the side door, realized the door, the screen door locked, so there's no access to the door. So I went back to the front of the house, just have those up the just to see if I could get a response from the dog.
What kind of dog was it? Bull Mastiff. Was it a big dog? Did you hear any response from the dog?
Once I tapped on the window, the dog would jump up and brushed it against the long vertical line. So I just kept tapping on the window just to see what was going on. What could I see? Kitchen. And the first thing I noticed was involving the dog, water bucket was full. That just told me someone was in the house without answering the door.
Judge, speculation.
Ms. Bain.
When you saw that when you heard the dog, you said you noticed the water bucket was full. Did you contact the police?
First, I called the police. Before I called, I just walk around and follow me. If I was just really checking. But with the dog. As soon as I saw that, I stepped off the porch. A little bit into the yard. Please. Have to call my
What was your aunt's name?
hurry.
Did she have a key to your mother's home? Did she give that to the police officers? Do you remember the address where your mother lived?
15 Warrant.
That's in Ypsilanti Township, Washtenaw County. Now, eventually the police came to the home, right? Did your son ever exit that home? Did he exit the home after the police got there? When did he come out of the home?
First thing, police officer showed he saw the dog, so he called the Washtenaw County. He makes his son, hey, I can't show and the dog catcher. They proceeded to enter the house, breaking the seal, breaking the locks of the screen door. Used the key to open up the door because initially the dog catcher secured the dog. Police officer
And you had asked the police officer who came to help you out with finding your mom, right? You had asked that deputy that came to the house to help you? You were worried about your mother? After the dog was secured, did that deputy go inside the home? At some point after he went in the home, did the deputy and your son come outside?
Once the deputy went in, seconds later, I think they had followed to assist from the house.
Did he ask you to step outside? At some point, did you see your son? Was there anything about his behavior that concerned you?
Not until we walked out the house. That's when I really started paying close.
What did you notice?
Shocked that I was there. Reactions and utter shock. Objection, foundation, speculation.
If you want to ask questions, I would allow the answer, but
Thank you. You've known your son his whole life, correct, sir? You're familiar with him? You're familiar with how he portrays his emotions on his face? And in this situation, had you seen emotions like shock before on his face?
It's more so surprise than someone. Good way to say it. I don't think he anticipated.
Now,
so that the record's clear, I'm going to overrule the objection with that foundation. I'm going to allow the answer. Go.
thank you very much, Your Honor. At some point, while you, your Aunt Tony, the defendant, and the deputy were outside discussing where your mother might be, did you speak to the deputy by yourself?
Not initially. No, initially, no, we were all sitting and just talking. These officers was asking Ron questions. Where could possibly be? What was her phone? We all reaching out, looking for the Coney Island restaurant. Goes to every morning, every so often. Initially, we thought we were at the county break center because she's also a swimmer. These officers lied. Whatever tools to check and see if there's any ambulance reporting so that she was pick up an ambulance or in a hospital. Check to see if she's in the hospital. And also started asking, has she ever walked off?
This one out of objective hearsay is what the officer asked.
Well,
I'm not offering it for the truth of the matter asserted, Your Honor. I'm offering it to guide the next steps in what this witness did.
I'll overrule the objection. Take it for that purpose.
Thank you, Your Honor. At some point, did the deputy go to his car that was parked out front?
He did, but in fact,
Sure. Skipping ahead a little bit, did you and the deputy have a conversation in the front yard? What, if anything, did you express to him at that time that concerned you?
when we got literally my I don't know. Dang. Because initially we were asked questions, the police officer asked questions. Wanted me to speak. As soon as I heard it, I knew that was a lie. I knew that there was something false information. And that's when we went back into the house to gather information, evidence, whatnot, with timeline. Then the police officer noticed, looked at Ronald, saw his shoes, saw his legs, whatnot, put him in custody, put him in custody. And while we're out in front of him, yes, we did talk. Asked, if I saw it, because I asked the officer, how did you look at it? And that's just one thing.
So before your son was arrested, did you and the deputy have a conversation in the front yard? Okay. Do you recall talking to him at all and expressing your concerns? What were you concerned might have happened?
Initially, we love me fast, scary, or got great. And like, next, you got the bail. That was from what? Where is she?
May I have a moment, Your Honor?
Yes.
I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
All right, cross-examination.
Certainly true. When you spoke to the police, you described your relationship with your son as estranged. Sir, I don't answer questions, I ask them.
No, because
Did you understand my question, sir? Okay, now, isn't it true that prior to that day, you hadn't spoken or seen your son in over a year? No further question.
All right, thank you. Any redirect?
I have no redirect, Your Honor. May this witness be excused so he could witness the rest of the proceedings pursuant to the Victims' Rights Act?
Any objection to that?
no, Your Honor.
All right.
Yeah, I asked both Mr. Fleming and Ms. Curry when informing the sprinklers were locked, and asked if they were fine if I popped the doors with a small try not to cause any damage, just so we could access the interior door to see if the kids would open it, which I did.
Did you check any of the windows? What did you notice about the windows?
I remember checking the windows on either side of the front door, as you're facing the front door, the window to the left was unlocked. I was able to slide it open with my hand.
Was it closed at the time that you
Yes.
contacted us? And when you opened the window, did you hear anything?
Yes, on the parking side.
What did you do next?
I announced myself. I called out the sheriff's office. The dog was barking. The dog ran up to the windowsill and jumped at me, trying to bite me, so I closed the window.
Were there any cars in the driveway?
Yes.
Were you able to identify whose cars they were at any point?
Red Jeep SUV that was backed in towards the back of the driveway, which I identified as Theodore Fleming's car. And then there was a black sedan that was in on the street and and Ronald Fleming stated that was his car.
Did you call for any help with the dog?
Yes, I asked for dispatch to send our animal control officer over to help get the dog contained.
Did you use the key to make entry into the home?
Yes, the key that is pretty
Which door did you go in?
bodies.
At this time, was the animal control officer present? After the dog was taken under control, did you actually go inside the home? Can you describe the layout of this home for the court, please?
Sure. It's a single story, ground level home. It has a basement. At the front of the home, there's a living room and a kitchen. On the first floor, that is towards the back, there's 2 bedrooms and a bathroom. Bedroom on the, I'll get myself confused with directions, but if you're walking through the front door, the back right is a bedroom with a bed. And towards the back left is another bedroom that was arranged as an office, kind of office.
You mentioned there was a basement. Did you go in the basement as well? Where did you start going through the home when you first made entry?
I started at the side door, off the driveway. I walked in and, announced myself. I was at the sheriff's office. I received a response. Walked through the first floor. I made my way towards the back bedroom. Looking for Theodora, checked that bedroom. I didn't find anything there. The bed and some, pieces of furniture, the walls. And then, kind of went around almost like in a circle, checking the bathroom, the office. And
Did you find any people on the first floor? Did you go to the basement? What happened when you went to the basement?
checked basement. Mr. Ronald Fleming entered the house with me. And said that when I went downstairs, there would be a door to the right of the closed door that was set up as a bedroom. So I checked the rest of the basement and announced myself against the sheriff's office. I knocked on the door, didn't receive an answer, so I went to the door.
You made a reference to Mr. Ronald Fleming. Was that the defendant you were speaking with, or was that somebody else?
Andy sitting in the back of the courtroom made the 911 call for assisting the son of.
Once you were in the basement, did you find anybody?
Yes.
Who did you find in the basement? Do you see that person in the courtroom today? Can you please tell me where he's sitting in an article of clothing that he's wearing?
My left wearing jumpsuit, white sleeves.
Your Honor, may the record reflect that the witness identified this defendant.
That objection record shows total reflect.
Did you speak with the defendant? What did you say to him?
I asked him if he looked here. He said he did. I asked him if he had looked here with Theodora. He said he did. I asked him if he'd seen Theodora, where she was. He said he did. So I told him that some of the other members had called, and they were all trying to figure out where she was. And I asked him to come upstairs and step outside with me so we could try to figure out where Theodora was.
Where did he go when you asked him to step outside?
Up the basement stairs to the first floor, and then on the side over to the driveway. Mr. Fleming, senior firm.
Did you go back outside as well? Did you check any other areas of the property after you went back outside?
Mr. Fleming, senior, and the garden. The inside behind the garage. And behind the house, there's a small lawn. There's a tree with a little garden around it. Side area behind the cash garage. Water.
Did you notice anything about the yard?
Directly behind the house, there's kind of a small patio. And then there's a garden, shrubs in it. There's a tree in the middle. I noticed there's a wheelbarrow and a shovel sticking out of the ground next to one corner of the garden. In that particular corner of the garden, had a large patch of bare dirt.
Were you able?
Sorry.
Please go ahead.
I just said that there's nothing growing there.
At this point, had you found Theodora anywhere in the house, in the garage, or any immediately visible area of the front or backyard? After the defendant went outside, did you speak with him as well as Miss Tony Curry and the defendant's father? And who did you understand that the defendant was to Theodora? How were they related? What did he say the last time he saw her was?
He's Mr. Fleming. I'll say Mr. Fleming Jr. If that's okay, just for junior and senior.
That's fine, or the defendant, whatever please you.
Well, I spoke with the defendant. I asked him the last time he saw Theodora was. At first he said, a few days ago. I asked him to try to narrow that down. Told me that gone with Theodora to a vet appointment on Monday. But he last seen her maybe Tuesday or Wednesday. But trying to narrow it down a little bit further, I asked him what time of day he might have seen her last. He said he believed it was in the evening. I think we kind of settled on Tuesday. I think it was the last time.
Did you say if anyone else had been in the house?
Yes, he said nobody other than Theodora.
Did you ask him about Theodora maybe going for a walk? And what did he say about that?
Said that Theodora was kind of stooped over or a little hunchbacked, and she was elderly, and she probably couldn't have fit into the driveway. She tried to walk.
After you spoke with all of these people, did you do any checks to see if Theodore had been transported to a hospital by ambulance?
Yes, I contacted dispatch, and asked them to call the local hospitals, Trinity Health, or also St. Joe's, and University Mission Hospital. I also asked our dispatch to check the ambulance service. And I also went and personally checked on my in-car computer for any calls that we might have had something at the end.
Any positive results?
Dispatch informed me that Pedro had not been checked in the hospitals, HV had not been at the address or transported. We had to have taken calls at that address.
When you say a very long time, what time frame are you talking about?
I want to say over a year, but I'm not 100% sure on how long that is, but more than a full month.
When you determined that she had not been transported to the hospital and was not at the hospital, did you do any other investigation?
Yep, I asked, I've asked Ms. Curry to call Theodore's cell phone. Ms. Curry previously told me she tried calling her and texting her and had received the answer. So I asked her to call again while we were all there just to see if one phone maybe.
What happened when you asked her to call the phone?
She called it. We heard it right inside. The defendant went in and retrieved the phone again.
Did you look at the phone? What did you notice about the status of the messages and calls on the phone?
I went through emails, phone calls, text messages, and it seemed like all of the phone calls and text messages stopped being answered or opened, read, or replied to as of this Tuesday.
Where did you put that phone?
Placed in my patrol car.
After putting the phone in your control car, did you speak with Ronald Fleming Sr.? Without telling me what he said, did you go back to the house again? And what were you doing when you went back to the house for that second time?
I asked the family there to get a look around again, just to try and see if I missed anything, if there was any clues we could find in my house where Theodore was.
Did you ask the defendant to handle the dog at that time?
Dog was the most aggressive dog. The dog was the most friendly towards the defendant, so I asked him to secure the dog. The dog was inside of the house.
Had the animal control officer left at this point? So you asked the defendant if he could secure the dog so you could search again?
Bring the dog outside into on the driveway. There's a dog run, chain link fence. I asked him to secure the dog there so we could look around without being harassed.
Can you describe the fences that existed around the driveway area so the court can have an idea of what this was like?
Yes, if you're facing the house, the driveway's on the left. There's about 6 or 7 foot chain link fence that touches the wall of the house, goes across the driveway, then goes back to where it connects with the detached garage. And the detached garage on the back of it is connected to the property line fence. And then if you're trying to go from the backyard to the driveway, there's about a 4 foot chain link fence that completes the dog right here on the driveway.
And that fence that's between that goes across the driveway before you get to the door, is there like a gate in that fence? There's a gate.
There's also a small other side that goes in the backyard. 4 foot section.
Did the defendant, Ms. Curry, and Ronald Sr. all consent to you going back into the home? Did you find anything of significance inside the home when you went back in again?
I don't believe I found anything. I don't recall who exactly it was, but I remember Ms. Curry and Mr. Fleming Sr. coming and saying that they had found her Theodore's house keys and car keys. And then I believe they also brought out, it might have been the defendant that brought out her laptop and iPad.
So at this point, what of Theodore's possessions had you been able to identify as being at or near the home?
Her house keys, her car keys, her phone, I believe her ID and credit cards were in a phone case that had credit cards slots on the back, so that goes with the phone. Car, house keys, phone, ID. laptop, iPad.
Now, at this point, where was her phone located at this time during your search?
I don't remember where exactly the phone was because only the defendant went inside to retrieve the phone when it was ringing. He brought it out to me so I could see where in the house.
And you had secured it in your patrol car? So at this time, was it still in your patrol car? Did you go to get it? As you walked outside of the home, what, if anything, happened?
I was walking up to my car. I had been kind of pulling my hair out, figured to is everything that I've been on a lot of look for checks over an hour. Every welfare check I'd ever been on. I was ready to call it quits. I didn't know where theater was. Felt like I checked every box. Everything I discovered that far told me that Deidre must be there at that house, but she wasn't there. I didn't know where she was.
Did you recall anything about your search?
As I was walking out to my patrol car, God spoke to me and told me, "Don't leave. Turn around. She's here." They suddenly had a lot of thoughts, a lot of recollections that came all of a sudden. I remember the garden in the backyard, patch of freshly upturned dirt, shovel sticking out of the ground next to it, the little barrel. I remembered when I was how weird it was that his grandson would be in the house for however many days, 2 or 3 days. Only one there. Nobody else had come to the house. There's no signs of forced entry. You know, Theodore was abducted. The door wasn't kicked in. The doors were all locked inside. Well, her car was there. Her phone was there. Her keys were there. Her friends who didn't live there with her were texting her phone. I saw a message her on her phone. You know, Theodore, are you okay? She wasn't at the hospital. There's everything said if she was anywhere. She was at the house. So I thought, worst case scenario, like, what could be the answer to this? Thinking this in my head. The only person that was there with Theodore was Ronald Fleming. If she's nowhere to be found, the only place that my cop brain goes to is maybe she was killed. And if I killed somebody, where would I hide a body?
You said Ronald Fleming Sr. Did you mean Ronald Fleming Sr. was the only person?
The defendant was the only person in the house that the person was around here. So I asked myself, if I was going to kill somebody and hide a body, where would I put it? I would bury it. And I remembered the freshly patched up turned dirt is that hard. How would I dig a hole? I would use a shovel. There's a shovel sticking out of the dirt. By myself, and I have to move a body. How would I do it? I would use a wheelbarrow and sitting out next to the patch of dirt. So I walked back to the fence on the dog was out in the dog run barking at me. But to the other side, I climbed over the fence and walked into the backyard by the garden, and I saw the patch of freshly upturned dirt was there. Stepped on it with my foot. It was hard packed around the edges, like the dirt hadn't been disturbed, and in the middle it was soft and slightly sunken in. That section that was soft and slightly sunken in was roughly, 6 feet by 2 feet. It was the size of a body, the size of a grave. So I grabbed the shovel and I started digging. I dug for a little bit. I did something that it wasn't a rock, it wasn't or dirt, it was something softer that the shovel struck. Kind of scraped the dirt with the shovel a little bit. I saw what looked like cloth or a piece of a sheet sticking out of the dirt. So I threw the shovel down. I got down on my hands and knees and I started digging with my hands. I grabbed the sheet and pulled it back, and I reached in with my hand. I grabbed what felt like a human limb, like an arm or a leg.
What did you do after you grabbed what felt to you like a human arm or leg?
I knew in my heart that Theodore had been murdered, and the defendant had buried her in the backyard. I sucked on my hands now. I got on the radio. I called for more deputies to come to my location. I went back over the fence, went back to the front of the house, and wasn't really sure the best way how to go about it. They just go talk to the family, like I found it, thinking driver's license, time for smart guns to get.
Where did you go in the house when you went back inside? And what area of the home did you end up in to speak with everyone?
Immediately to the left, when you go in through the front door, there's a kitchen, like kitchenette dining.
Like an eat-in kitchen? And who all was in there?
Then Ronald Fleming Senior and his crew.
As you were standing in there, did you talk with everybody? How long did you speak with them, if you recall?
Maybe 5 minutes.
At some point, did you decide to arrest the defendant? And did you place him in handcuffs?
I did.
Did you search him and put him in the back of your patrol car? Did you question him at all? Did a sergeant arrive on scene along with many other people? And at that point, did you turn over your investigation to other members of the sheriff's department? May I have one moment, Your Honor?
May. Cross-examination.
Good afternoon, Deputy. You go to this location because family called you concerned about the whereabouts of a family member. You get to the location, one of the family members is there, Ronald Fleming Sr. Okay. Did you ask Ronald Fleming Sr. if he lived there? Okay. Did you ask Miss Curry if she lived there? Did you ask Mr. Fleming Sr. for identification to check his address? Did you ask Miss Curry for identification to check her address? Miss Curry provided you with the key. Did you ask Miss Curry if she had authority to enter that location?
No.
Did you ask Miss Curry if she had the authority to give you permission to enter that location? You took a screwdriver and you forced entry into one of the screen doors. So you forced entry to access the door that you could use the key. Some point you enter that location. You don't have a search warrant, correct? And you don't have permission from anybody you know to live there to enter that location. The purpose of you entering that location was to check to see on the well-being of Thedra. As a Washington County Sheriff, is there a policy on welfare checks?
Yes.
Or are you familiar with that policy?
Yes, although I haven't read it in a while.
Okay.
What we'll be into.
The purpose of a welfare check, would you agree with me, is to see, one, if the individual is there, and two, if they need medical assistance. You checked the home. Thedra wasn't there. Correct?
Fine.
So therefore, there was nobody to render medical assistance to.
As far as I know at the time.
Okay. And at that point, you did see Mr. Fleming, correct? You asked Mr. Fleming to come outside. That was not an order that Mr. Fleming could resist, correct?
That's the form of the question, Your Honor.
Mr. One.
The form of the question, I don't. He said it was an ask, but he also said it was an order. So I'm not
Well,
clear on what
I'm
the question.
Overruled on, I think it was clear enough. Go on. You can answer the question.
Oh, well, I asked that, but I don't think I hesitated. Is the, I guess an order to say.
So it's your testimony if Mr. Fleming Jr., the defendant, would have told you, no, get out of my house, you would have just left?
Well, I think the welfare check would have probably started turning into a different investigation.
Well, yeah, I would have. So now you are no longer doing a welfare check, you're now doing a criminal investigation.
Your Honor, he said.
Sustain that.
Thank you.
Okay. What other investigation would have turned into?
All of it. Find the, and I believe at the time I'm talking with, they're still on our area of the residents, the property that I haven't looked at yet. Probably would have gone back outside. I mean, this is speculating, telling you what I would have done afterwards. Can you, I guess, ask again what exactly the question?
My question to you was, Ronald Fleming Jr. would have told you, no, I don't want to leave the house, and to get out of my house, would you have left?
Speculation at this point.
Sustained.
Yeah, I don't think he'd be speculating on what his behavior would be. I could ask him what he would do under a certain circumstance.
Then I'll check.
Well, he's speculating because the premise of your question didn't happen.
Okay.
So I sustained.
When you are questioning Mr. Fleming, you have him, or you ask him to leave the location, correct?
He just said, why don't you come upstairs so we can talk about how to find the vehicle.
Okay. But you didn't have him just go upstairs, you had him go outside.
Yes, I said upstairs and join this curry.
And by going outside of the location, you had Mr. Fleming Jr. go from a location in which you could not make a warrantless arrest to a location in which you could make a warrantless arrest. Correct?
Objection relevance.
Yeah, it goes to Mr. Fleming being in custody and whether or not this officer is acting under the exigent circumstances exception, or if he's doing a criminal investigation inside a home without a warrant.
I don't know that it necessarily goes there. All over, I'll allow it. I know that it matter much, but go ahead.
So you ask.
By having him leave the inside of the residence, you had Mr. Fleming Jr. go to a location in which you could make a warrantless arrest outside the home.
I'm not a lawyer. I don't know how true that would be. Still beyond the trivial problem at the location.
At this point, after speaking to Mr. Fleming, you now realize that Mr. Fleming is the only family member present that actually lives at this location.
I'm sorry. After speaking.
After speaking with Mr. Fleming, you now realize he's the only member of the family present that actually lives at that location.
Just so we can be clear, you're speaking of the defendant.
Defendant Fleming Jr. Yes, sir.
Yeah, as far as I knew at that time.
When you began to question Mr. Fleming Jr. outside the residence, was he free to leave?
He wanted to leave at that point in time. Probably could have walked away, although, other than having at that precise moment in time when he came up from the basement, I was shocked and surprised and had a strange feeling when I got about the whole thing that I found sleeping in the basement. But I'm going to say that I would at that point, saying so there we go.
And at this point, you are now suspicious as to the whereabouts of Theodore. You still have not seen or located her at this residence. And you haven't located anybody in the residence that needs medical assistance or emergency aid. You ask the individuals to go back into the home again. Correct? How many minutes went by when you asked, by the time you asked to re-enter the home to search?
From the time that the defendant and I walked outside.
Yeah, how many minutes was that?
Not entirely sure.
Did Mr. Fleming Jr. ever give you permission to grab that shovel and dig in that backyard?
No.
Did you have a search warrant to grab that shovel and dig in that backyard? No further question, John.
Any redirect?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
All right. Thank you, Detective. Miss Upton.
Aaron Sawyering.
All right.
This witness is excused. Is that correct?
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
All right, this witness is excused.
Thank you.
Clerk, please come forward and be sworn.
Take a seat, raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear to affirm the testimony you're about to give me the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? I do. See, state, spell your first and last name, correct?
Aaron Soyering, AARYSOYRIN.
You may inquire.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you employed?
Currently employed at Washington County Sheriff's Office as a detective.
How long have you been a detective with the Washington County Sheriff's Office?
About 3 years, 3 months. Prior to that, I was assigned as a road control deputy for years.
Do you have any prior law enforcement experience before you were employed with the Sheriff's Office?
Of course, related, but not as an actual certified law enforcement officer.
You. Were you working on May 17th, 2024?
What?
And were you dispatched to 1315 South Warner Road in Ypsilanti Township? For what purpose were you sent to that address?
I've been notified by Captain Hanson that there was a probable homicide. So I was assisting a team of detectives with a search warrant. Specifically, it was my task for that residence, the garage and surrounding property.
And was the search warrant obtained for the residence? And when you got there, what was your responsibility?
I kind of assisted Detective Roberts, who was in charge of processing the scene. So I brought the physical copy of the search warrant out there prior to the search taking place. I did have some part to play in the backyard where the scene was ultimately covered.
What part did you have to play in that?
So we had involved, Detective Morrison had involved the Michigan State Police anthropology team, Hannah Friedlander. She had requested that we verify it was in fact human remains that were present as opposed to an animal. So I unearthed a little bit more of the dirt around what appeared to be a white bag or a white cloth material. And then I used the sterile scalpel with the gloved hands. I used the sterile scalpel to create a split into that fabric, then open that up, peered inside, and I saw an additional layer of fabric, which was a red and yellow quilt-like blanket. I then did the same with this layer of fabric, cut it, and peered inside, and I saw what appeared to be the fair complexion of a deceased subject.
What body part were you looking at?
It appeared to be the lower legs.
After you confirmed that there were human remains in the ground, did you contact any other members of the Sheriff's Department?
Yes, so I should say I used my right hand to reach into the fabric and did feel what appeared to be human remains that were cold to touch, and it did feel to be the shin area of the legs. After discovering this, I actually was on the phone with Detectives Morrison and Ryden at the time, but I did relay my findings to them as well as contact additional law enforcement at the Sheriff's Office just to keep them up to speed. They're currently conducting an interview with them.
Did you return any physical evidence or items from that location to the Sheriff's Department?
I did. I collected a cell phone that was belonged to, I believe it's Deidre Fleming, decedent in this case. This was already collected by Detective Roberts and was in the back of his patrol, or his government issued vehicle, I should say. I also collected a cell phone that was on the steps on the west side of the home. So this would, if you're looking at the house from the street, this would be on the left side of the house. This was believed to be the defendant's phone. Cell phones and other electronic devices were on that search warrant, so I collected that, transported it back to the Sheriff's Office, and turned it over to our computer forensic detective.
After taking those items to Station 1, is that correct? You went to Station 1?
That's correct.
Which is located in the same building where we're at now? 2201 Hogback. Did you return to that Warner Avenue address? Did you stand by at the scene for some time?
Stood by for several hours. This was during the search by Detective Roberts as well as the Michigan State Police lab personnel that responded. I also was present for the exhumation of the body from the clandestine grave.
Did you eventually attend the autopsy a few days later?
I did, I believe it was May 20th.
Thank you. May I have a moment, Your Honor?
Yes.
Pass witness.
Cross-examination.
Good afternoon, sir. When you went to the location, did you have a search warrant? Oh, when was that search warrant signed?
Don't know the specific time, but signed on May 17th by Judge Simpson. It was prior to any search of the property.
That it was prior to you digging into the bag.
Prior to me entering the property or digging into the clandestine grave that had already been signed.
Who was the affiant on that search warrant? Where did you get the probable cause facts for the affidavit for search warrant?
So I obtained the probable cause for the search warrant reviewing on the camera footage from Deputy Rob to a welfare check, the 1315, believes that it was water, as well as from a phone conversation I overheard by Morrison, who was on speakerphone with Sergeant Hogan.
Okay. And so those were the only sources of information for your affidavit?
The specific affidavit. I believe that's likely.
Thank you. No further questions, y'all.
Reader.
No, Your Honor, may this witness be excused?
Yes, you may step down. Thank you, sir.
Defendant Morrison.
All right. Please come forward and be sworn.
Right. You solemnly swear to affirm the testimony you're about to give to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Have a seat. State spell your first and last name for the record.
Detective Heather Morrison, PHR.
You may inquire.
Good afternoon, ma'am. How are you employed?
I'm a detective of the Washington County Sheriff's Office,
How long have you been employed as a detective?
since 2020.
Do you have prior law enforcement experience before you were a detective?
Yeah, I was with the county, I've been with Washington County since 2006, so 19 years.
Were you working on May the 17th, 2024? How did you become involved with an investigation into the homicide of Theodore Fleming?
Man, so they believe that a great and I think they're doing.
And did you respond to the scene or do something else?
Initially spoke with MSP, let them know, that's when we got the information from Detective Sargent. We FaceTime. Well, first we reviewed the Detective Rob's body camera, got the information, got the search warrant signed. Then we found that the conduct was coming back to Station 1 to be interviewed. So we had MSP en route, got the body discovered by Detective Sargent, and then I interviewed the suspect.
Where was the defendant interviewed?
In interview room number 3 at the sheriff's office here.
Are you able to identify the person that you interviewed on May the 17th, 2024? You see him in this courtroom? Can you tell me where he's sitting and what he's wearing?
People, green, jumpsuit on, and
Your Honor, may this record reflect the witness identified the defendant?
Yes, so reflect without objection.
Was the defendant read his Miranda warnings?
yes,
Did he waive those rights and agree to speak with you and Detective Reisanen? Did he say how long he'd been living with Deidre?
approximately 2 months, about 2 months in time.
2 months this time, you said? How did he describe her physical condition?
He said that his grandmother was frail, that she had rods in her back and neck, and that she had COPD. That she would not be able to make it to the end of the driveway if she had to walk.
When asked about Theodore what did the defendant say at first?
That he didn't know.
Did he say when the last time he saw her was?
He said that he believed it was Tuesday morning.
Was the defendant questioned about any digging or other activity that had happened in the backyard?
He was.
And how many people did the defendant say had dug in that backyard?
He said the only people that had access to the backyard today were, to his knowledge, himself and maybe Theodore did a little bit.
Had anyone else been in the backyard digging to the defendant's knowledge?
Yes.
Was the defendant ever confronted with information about what had been found by law enforcement in the backyard garden / flower bed area? How was that done?
The material that had been exposed, photographs that we received from the scene.
At first, did he claim any knowledge of what had been found in the garden or flower bed?
No.
What did he say?
So that he didn't know what it was.
Eventually, did you discuss what was found in the flower bed? You and Detective Reisman with him?
Yes. He found, secret.
What did he say after that happened?
That he knew what happened, but he was afraid that we wouldn't believe what he had to say.
Did he ever tell you how Theodore had gotten into the flower bed?
Yes.
What did he say?
So that he picked her up and that he drugged her, out there after he had killed her.
Did he describe killing her?
Yes.
What did he say about that?
You said that on Tuesday morning, his grandmother had come downstairs. I guess I should back up and say that earlier, Monday, they had gotten into a little bit of an argument about what happened at the vet. She also had been, talking to him about getting a job or going back to school. This made him feel like his grandmother didn't love him anymore. He had felt that way for a while.
You said the vet. Let's stop there for a second and back. You said something about Monday at the vet. What happened Monday? What did the defendant say happened Monday at the vet?
Monday at the vet, he said that Peter got upset with him because he was laughing. The dog was, this big dog, he's uncontrollable.
In this intense courtroom cross-examination, an attorney questions a sheriff's deputy about the legality of a welfare check at a residence. The lawyer presses the officer on whether he properly verified who actually lived at the home before forcing entry. He asks if the deputy requested identification from Ronald Fleming Sr. or Miss Curry to confirm their addresses and whether Miss Curry truly had the authority to allow officers inside the property. The attorney also highlights that Miss Curry only provided a key, yet the deputy still used a screwdriver to force open a screen door before entering the home. The questioning becomes more direct as the attorney points out that the officer did not have a search warrant and did not receive confirmed permission from someone known to live at the residence. The deputy is then asked about the official Washington County Sheriff's policy regarding welfare checks. The lawyer emphasizes that the purpose of a welfare check is simply to determine whether the person inside is present and whether they need medical assistance, raising doubts about whether the officer followed proper procedure during the entry. If you enjoy real courtroom cross-examinations like this, like the video and subscribe to the channel for more intense courtroom moments.